Hi, and welcome back to the channel on the college process. Once again, I'm Ed from Principia Prep, and today we're going to be going over how to become an independent student and how it helps and also hurts your chances for financial aid eligibility. But before we begin, if you are new to the channel and are looking for additional college content, please hit the subscription button down below. It will notify you when new videos come out, as well as if you do like today's video, please leave us a like. It does help the channel. Also, if you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below in the comment section. We do answer all the questions you guys have that you leave on our videos. As well as, once again, I want to remind all the viewers here today, we're still running the James Russo Memorial Scholarship for this year's senior class 21-22. So if you are looking for scholarship help for your senior student, or you're looking to help out our organization by adding to the scholarship fund, please once again watch the James Russo Memorial Scholarship. The video is in the description down below, as well as also our Venmo, as well as our Buy Us a Coffee. Those links are also down below in the description as well if you want to help support the channel. That being said, let's jump right into today's video, how becoming an independent student can help and also hurt your financial aid chances. So first, let's discuss what an independent student actually means in the world of college. Now, when your student is an independent student, financial aid speaking wise, that basically means when they're filling out any financial aid forms, the Fafsa, the CSS Profile, any state forms, the parent's information no longer needs to be added. And when I mean the parent's information doesn't need to be added, I mean the parent's incomes, assets, cash, savings, homes, cars. None of the parent stuff has to be added if the student is deemed an independent student by that college. So in many cases, obviously, it provides a big jump in the financial aid eligibility profile of that student. But of course, there are always good and bad aspects to everything you do, both in the world of admissions as well as in the world of financial aid. So let's actually go over and discuss what are the positives of becoming an independent student, and of course also the negatives of becoming an independent student. But first, let's actually discuss how you become an independent student, or the criteria essentially that are required for your student to be deemed independent from the parent's financial information. Now, right off the bat, these categories right here indicate if the student is going to be deemed independent or not. I'm going to go through each one of these here and just explain in small detail what each one of them means and how they work, basically. Now, right off the bat, the number one way of becoming an independent student is if your student is going to be 24 years or older by the time they start the next academic year, or before January 1st of the next academic starting year. So the way it works, a lot of parents think, well, my student's becoming 18, they're becoming 21. In the real world, they're deemed independent in certain levels for certain things, but in the world of college, it does not work that way. Being 18 or 21 does not make you independent anything in the world of college for financial aid consideration. It's only when your student turns 24, unfortunately. Now, the second way is if your student is married. Now, you might be wondering, what are the chances my student at 17, 18, 19, or 20 will get married? But you never know. In reality is, I've actually seen students who've gotten married in their late teens, and actually this was a huge benefit financial aid-wise, because the parents' information for both students going off to college or while they're in college were taken out of the equation. So technically, two students got the benefit of this. Now, the third way of becoming an independent student doesn't help out that much, is because if you're a graduate student or a professional student, a student going for their master's or MBA, their PhD, etc., what typically happens is schools do not provide financial assistance on the free side. So there's very little grants or scholarships available for the grad level. And the fourth way is to be a veteran or a member of the armed forces. Obviously, your student, if they went into the military before they went off to college, once they finish, they will be eligible for more than likely independency based on these factors, as well as they'll also be available for certain things like Yellow Ribbon, the GI Bill, and a few other things in the mix. We'll have videos on this later on. And the fifth way is if you are an orphan or if you're a ward of the court. If this were to happen, then obviously automatically you'd be deemed independent. And of course, if your student has a child, if they are caring for somebody else, essentially, as far as a child, that basically also means they'll be deemed independent as well. Now, a little asterisk here as well. Unfortunately, the way this works is the child must already be born. So if your student's entering college and the student has not given birth to the child, then unfortunately this does not count as them being able to be independent. You can, though, appeal. And the last way is if your student is emancipated and or they have the risk of being homeless at any point in time throughout their high school career or any time they're in college, they can also be deemed independent. Now, the way it works as far as emancipation works, most colleges, believe it or not, do not accept emancipation unless there's egregious situations in place like abuse or neglect or things of this sort. So that being said, now that we kind of illustrated and kind of figured out based on this list here how it works to become an independent student or the factors necessary to be considered an independent student, let's talk about the ways that independent students are positive and the way that they're negative in the world of financial aid. Now, right off the bat, if your student is deemed independent, the first factor, the first positive obviously is the parent's income and assets no longer count. So if your student has no income whatsoever and your incomes as the parents don't count, then automatically your student's going to be eligible for full federal aid, full state aid, as well as full institutional aid, full college financial assistance. So it's a very beneficial thing to have. So you're probably wondering, well, Ed, if our stuff doesn't count, the finances, why wouldn't we all want to be independent students if we had the option to? Well, there are times where if you have the chance or the ability to make your student independent, it doesn't make sense. And let me give you an example, which many people don't talk about. Let's say the parents make less than $30,000, which is kind of the key here. Roughly $30,000 to $35,000 is roughly the key here. So if your parents make less than $30,000 to $35,000 and the student is working, so that they're also making money, anything over $10,000 or more, the reality is it doesn't make sense to make your student independent. And let me explain to you guys why, and let me show you with examples here. I actually did the net price calculators right here on the side, you can see here. At the top, I did one for a student who's independent, who's making $20,000 a year. On the bottom, I did one for a student who has parents who are making less than $30,000, $29,999, and that student's also making $20,000 as well. And what you see here is if the student is independent and they're making $20,000, they're expecting you guys to pay $3,315. But if the student is not independent, does not go for the independency, down here you'll see the student is only asked to pay $688. So you're probably wondering, well, Ed, losing that $2,627 doesn't really seem like that big of a deal though. But it is a big deal because in the world of financial aid, there are three people giving you financial aid. The federal government, the state that you reside in, if the college is in the state you reside in, and the college itself. So you're not technically losing $2,627. You're technically losing that times 3. So $7,881 you're actually losing. So here, as you see here, it doesn't make sense to become independent if the family's income below $35,000 because of the fact that it's going to increase the student's ability to pay for college. And another factor, a second factor why you do not want to become independent if the family has a low income, $35,000 or below, is because of the federal loans. Once you become independent, the unfortunate thing is they increase the loan limits of the student. Here on the side, you can see here, as a freshman going in, if you're not independent, if you're just a dependent student of your family, so your parents' information counts, you're starting off with a loan of $5,500. $6,500 years 2, and years 3 and 4, you're going to be getting $7,500 from the federal government. Now, if you look at the bottom of this though, if you're an independent student, year 1 you're getting $9,500, year 2 you're getting $10,500, and years 3 and 4 you're getting $12,500. So they increased your loan amounts dramatically, unfortunately. And the reason they do that is because you're an independent student and they deem that you need more financial assistance. So if you're looking to become an independent student, it does make sense right off the bat if the parent's income is above $35,000. If the parent's income is below $35,000, it typically does not make any sense to become independent. I know it sounds counterproductive because you figure I take the parent's information out of the mix, it makes us more eligible for aid, but it's not the way it works. Remember, every situation is different, so you have to know what you're doing when you're figuring out the scenario that you guys are getting involved in. So those are the factors to consider if you're able to or looking to become an independent student. And with all that being said, if you do enjoy today's video, please leave us a like. It does help the channel. As well as if you have any questions or any comments, please leave them down below in the comment section. Also, once again, the James Russo Memorial Scholarship is running. If you want to watch that, if you want to get information about how to apply for the James Russo Memorial Scholarship, down below in the description is the link for the video, as well as our link for our Venmo, as well as our Buy Me a Coffee link is also down below in the description if you want to help support the channel. Other than that, on the screen you see our contact information. If you have any questions, any concerns, if you need help with the financial aid forms or the admissions process, please reach out to us. We do help families year-round with both the admissions and the financial aid process. On the screen is my cell phone number. Easiest way to reach me is just sending a text message, or you can also send us an email as well. And other than that, I'd like to thank everyone for watching today's video. Once again, I'm Ed from Principia Prep.